Hello and welcome to Tips and Tricks. I'm Debbie Nelson and I'm with Together SC. And I'm delighted to be here today to introduce you to another member of our consultant collaborative. I have a feeling many of you may already know Patrick Jinks, but Patrick Jinks of the Jinks Perspective is with us today. He is a published author, he is a trainer, and he is an amazing coach. I say all that and welcome you, Patrick. Hello, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Great. I just want you to have an opportunity to tell the folks about what it is you do. I know we've had a lot of opportunities to work together, so I know all the great things about you. But I want you to share from the Jinx perspective. What do you do?
I think the way that I have answered that before is by asking people what Celine Dion, Tiger Woods, George Clooney, Jeff Bezos, and Roger Federer all have in common. And aside from the fact that they're all celebrities and wealthy, they all use coaches, meaning that in order to get even better and stay at the top of their game, they employ coaches, acting coaches, voice coaches, tennis coaches, golf coaches, you name it, corporate coaches. Most Fortune 500 executives wouldn't dream of going without a coach. So I tell people that I do for a leader's mind a little bit like what a physical trainer does for an athlete's body, which is strengthen muscle memory, develop new habits, new skills, and become a better leader.
Well, that's why we have you here today, because I'm going to ask a question a lot that's about what you just talked about. And that is, as a nonprofit leader, as a leader in any sector, but we're talking about nonprofits, I think our tendency is to direct people, to direct our employees, to tell them how and what to do. It's just, I think, maybe the natural response. So how do we build that muscle memory that you just talked about? How do we lead and coach our employees and not direct them?
It's a great question, and it's not unique to the nonprofit sector, by the way. Yeah, I think it's the difference between coaching and managing. Leading and managing a little bit. Drucker once said, "You manage things and processes, you lead people." So the idea behind coaching now, as a professional coach, I make my living coaching. I coach people that I don't work for or that don't work for me. I come in from the outside and help. But coaching is it's a skill set that can be applied in the workplace by a leader. And it is the difference between sort of directing and engaging. So what I say about the coaching is that it happens on two levels. It happens at a micro level or in the moment, where a leader can be aware that I can apply a coaching tool to this and maybe engage my person a little bit better. But coaching also happens on a macro level, or what I call the mindset level. And that is when leaders use coaching as a mindset. It is the general way that they approach challenges and people in their organization. And I can talk a little bit more about the technicality of coaching, but that would be sort of the essence of it. The difference between maybe leading and managing starts to hit at it.
So what are some of your tips for doing that?
Well, if you've been around many of my workshops or seen my video channels or anything like that, I happen to like the number 5. So I have 5 tips for you that I would share actually on coaching as a manager. And the first one is that you have to start with connection. No matter whether you're directing or you're coaching, start with making a connection with your people. I have coached executives that I've actually shadowed for the day, corporate executives, where I've actually shadowed them for a day and watched them interact with their people. One of the things I find is that oftentimes managers go straight to mission with their people. They walk into a room and they might say, "Hey, how you doing?" And that's the extent of the connection. They go straight into mission. "Hey, will you have that report ready by Friday?" So start with connection, really connect with the individual, because that's where you're going to find out the mood, the demeanor. Are they stressed? Are they engaging? Um, do, can you show them that you actually really care about them as a person? And so start with connection, and that would be tenet number 1, whether it's a formal or an informal process. If I'm doing executive coaching with a client, let's start by what's been going on, what's new, and what exciting? And what are some of the challenges you've been going through before we actually get into the formal coaching engagement? So that's number one, is make a connection before you move into any kind of model or objective. The second thing I would say is, and this might be the number one tenet, but lead with questions.
Mhm.
That might be one of the biggest difference between coaching and directing. Directing is making statements, declarative things, commands, orders, whatever, even if they're light, uh, even if you say, hey, can you get me this, or would you do this for me? That's a question, but it's also a directive. Coaching is different. Coaching draws out and elevates the best thinking of the person that you're coaching. It's not about my best thinking, my ideas, what I need. So one of the examples I use is, let's say we've got a staff meeting next Tuesday, and I could come to you and say, Debbie, I need the following three things for the staff meeting Tuesday. Or I could say, hey, Debbie, our staff meeting's next Tuesday. What do you think we need to cover? What are the materials? How can we make this staff meeting different, or what needs to get done, and what might I be missing? So I'm asking you to think. I'm asking you to bring your best thought forward. I'm empowering you. I'm trusting you. And in the few moments that we'll probably take here, I won't give of lead with questions. It draws out and elevates their best thinking rather than just giving them yours. The third tenet is coach the person, not the problem.
Mhm.
Um, Coaching the problem moves a little more into consulting. And I've often said there's a big difference between a coach and a consultant. You need them both. They're both incredibly valuable. And I can play a consultant when I need to, but the coaching focuses on the person rather than the problem or the issue or the challenge or the goal. Because in coaching, you want the individual to own the, the solution, really. And so coach them as a person. What's keeping them from their best thinking, or to generating more ideas? And what skills are they not leveraging that they might not be aware of, that they've got assets they're not even aware of? How do we draw that out? The fourth I would give you, and might be best to sum up in an acronym, it's ACEs. And it's not the kind of ACEs about, child adverse childhood experiences that a lot of our nonprofits are familiar with. But ACEs would be an acronym to help you kind of think about the process of coaching, starting with the A, which is assess. So, what is it we need to coach on? What's the goal? What are the challenges? What's the inventory we're working with? The C stands for challenge. A coach should challenge. And one of the things that I like to say is challenge assumptions. When an employee tells you, "Oh, I just, I'm not good at public speaking," challenge that assumption. You're not good at it, or you're not comfortable with it. And why do you say you're not good at it? So sort of challenging their assumptions to make them say things out loud. And I can't tell you how many times I hear people go, well, now that I say it out loud, it kind of helps me think about something a little bit differently. So challenge them, and challenge them to reach for more. The E is explore. Help them explore ideas. One of the things I do is I'll say, what ideas might you have? What could you do to solve this? And they'll give me one idea. And if I stopped at that one idea, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I just explore more with a really simple next question, which is, that's a great idea. What else? What other idea might you come up with? Let's come up with more than one solution for this. See what feels right and see what's feasible and viable. So explore opportunities and explore solutions with them. Don't give them the solution. Explore it with them. Let them sort of create it. You're kind of the co-creator as the facilitator. And the final is the S, which is support. Support them. This is particularly true when we're talking about leading inside an organization. You're the leader. You're coaching one of your people. When I'm coaching executives as the external, there's a support function there too. Send them a leader plan, send them some resources every once in a while, an email that you come across that says, hey, I thought of you in our conversation the other day. Help them by saying, how can I be of help to you in meeting this goal? That's the support phase. And those are just the sort of areas of coaching. It's more than just asking questions. If all you do in the coaching, Patrick said ask questions, that's how you coach. Well, then it can come off as being an interrogation. It can come off as fluffy. It can come off as, oh, they're trying to coach me. It's superficial. So be truly curious and think about, how am I assessing? How am I challenging my employee? How am I exploring ideas and solutions with them? And how am I supporting them? And the final thing I would say is that coaching is not the only tool in the tool bag. There are times when it's not the appropriate tool. There are times when it truly is a disciplinary approach that needs to be taken, or a directive. I tell people all the time, if we're in a workshop or a conference and a fire breaks out, or there's a bomb threat or something like that, the last thing you want is a coaching approach. All right, everybody, let's get into our breakout rooms and let's get our flip charts and let's decide some of the best ways to getting out of the building. What do you think? Right? There are times when you do need the command and control, and the leader knows the path forward, and directives are not bad. It's just that they are often misplaced and overused. So that would be that would be my five really quick tenets on how to start thinking about being a coach as a leader of your people.
Well, that's great, Patrick. I actually was taking notes because I'm going to follow these 5 tips. And what resonated with me as I was listening is you're really empowering people with what their strengths are. I mean, sounds like in coaching, you're really looking for allowing people to identify their own strengths and build upon them rather than, assuming things. So I love the approach.
I'm amazed at how many people are unaware of some of their greatest strengths.
Yeah.
And when you tell them, you're really good at taking the concept and simplifying. Oh, really? I never thought of it that way. Yeah, but you're really good at that. Other people sometimes notice your strengths. And when we do like emotional intelligence assessments on the executives we coach, one of the areas that consistently scores lower in the emotional intelligence is self-confidence,
Wow, that's
and just not realizing what my own strengths are.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, I appreciate you once again sharing the Jinx perspective, your expertise. It's always great to work with you, and I'm sure our audience will get a lot out of this conversation today. So, how this works is we thank you for your time. We are going to share your information at the end of this video to allow people to reach out if they have a question. You love questions. If they have a question for you, or if they want to engage you in some work with their organization or with them personally in their leadership journey. So delighted to have you here today, Patrick, and look forward to seeing you in person. I hope soon. It's been a long time.
I hope it's been helpful, Debbie. I'm always honored and appreciate every time you and Together SC engage me in our work. So I'm thrilled to add this little bit of content again. Hopefully it's helpful for folks.
Great. Well, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you soon on Tips and Tricks.